What's up YouTube, this is Collect Pokemon and welcome back to another video. In today's video, or in the upcoming few video, I want to talk about what a Pokemon community is, or what I believe a Pokemon community is. I've heard and seen a lot of comments on different YouTube videos, on other, creators' videos saying that, hey, investor is not what we want in our Pokemon community, or things such as that is not what we want in our community. But what exactly is a Pokemon community? What makes up the Pokemon communities? And can people have different role in the Pokemon community? And in this video, we're going to talk about a particular role that a lot of people dislike. And it is the investor. So if you guys take a look, I do believe that a Pokemon community consists of investors, collectors, stores, distributors, and sellers. So, they sell things, the players, the entertainers, such as different YouTubers, different content creators, the Pokemon Company, and other selling platforms like TCG Players or eBay. These all make up the Pokemon community because, these are all essential part to the community. And that's why I find it very weird and confused when people say investors should not be part of this community. And I'm not gonna lie, I am a part investor and I am a collector. There was a time when I used to play Pokemon cards, and I'm still an entertainer making video talking about it. So I do play different role. I do have different role in the Pokemon communities. And we're gonna talk about the most notorious one that most people think, and that is investors. So who are the investors? Investors are typically people that profit from speculating the future price of cards based on their popularity, supply, and demand. And there are different methods of investments. And in this video, I'm going to actually talk about a number of methods that investors use to invest in Pokemon cards. And the goal is simply to make money. In the short term, it could be less than 6 months. Medium term, 6 to 5 years, 6 months to 5 years. And in the long run, more than 5 years. These are not definition that you can find online. These are simply my personal opinion. So, do share your comment. Do let me know what you guys think. Now, there are a lot of bad investors, and usually bad investors can put a negative stain on the market. But then there are also successful investors that are important to the community. Because here's the reason. The first reason is that, they're the one with the money, and they're the one that doesn't mind spending a lot of these money because they believe in their investment. They believe in the product. And I've been here in the Pokemon card market for such a long time that I know there was a time when there weren't much investor. This was back in 2015, 2016. Pokemon card sale was horrible. No one really wanted to buy Pokemon cards. The most expensive card on pre-order is likely going to be like a full art Mewtwo card or something like that. That is $49.99, $59.99. And no one really bought in to investing in Pokemon card, and there's not a lot of movement in the market, and the market is very stale. And while players still play, it is just like another day. It isn't the most interesting thing that there is. And because of these investors, because of the monetary value, these cards became collectibles. They became more collectible. I mean, to be very honest, Pokemon card has always been a collectible, but with a monetary value, it just gives a higher incentive to collect these cards. And they help a lot of card stores stays afloat. A lot of card stores simply profited off, $10, $20 booster box when they buy and sell. And the volume of products that they were moving was very little. And, these investors coming in made products that used to be cheap now expensive. A lot of the dead stock that card store have, they can finally profit and start moving some of them. So a lot of card store actually, it actually helped them stay afloat. And they keep people and they bring new people into the community. There are people that come here for the money, but later on realize that they actually love Pokemon. And it really brings and grow the community. And because of that, there is a lot of crazy news headings saying that, oh my god, this Pokemon card is a cardboard and it's worth that much money, and it gets covered by different media, different YouTubers. Back then there weren't any investment channel in Pokemon cards. I didn't start out as an investment channel. Back in 2016, there were Primetime Pokemon opening Pokemon card, Endo, which kids love, and Laughing Pikachu. That was it. And if you count me in, yes, I was opening cards too. But that was it. This was before Leonhard. This was, before PokeRev. I mean, PokeRev was still selling certain things on eBay. Before he even started his channel, I was actually one of the person that bought something from PokeRev. It was some Japanese VHS, and I bought an entire case that he has. Anyway, so it was a very, very different time. And I think that investors are kind of brings life into this community. So I do believe that they are an important and essential part. So you can't just say that they're not part of the community. Anyway, so for you that likes investing, I will tell you the different methods of investment right now. Method of investments. So these are the very short-term investment that a lot of people hate. The first one is called scalping. And obviously this is very short-term. And you buy things off the current market at MSRP. You buy it low and you sell it a little higher for a minimal profit margin. And to make this work, you need to move large quantity. And that means that there's a lot of work to do. You need to be visiting different Walmarts, Target, and card stores, lining up, simply buying whatever you can, and then listing it on Facebook, Marketplace, and so on. So yes, scalping is an investment method, whether you like it or not. But it's a very short term and not something that I would personally do. But some people do this. Why? Because it doesn't actually take a lot of money. You only need $29.99 or $39.99 to buy a Elite Trainer box, and then you can flip it for $49.99 for $10. It doesn't require you to have really deep pocket, and that's how a lot of investors start out as scalpers. Now the next one is called flipping. Now flipping, these are also very short term, but they take a little bit more skills. These occur when you're able to source sought after products for a lower price than market and then sell it at market price to profit. So some of you guys might know that, certain people that buy things from Japan and then they resell it in the US, or nowadays it's actually reversed. Some people buy a Japanese card in the US and flip it in Japan. So those are called flippers. You need good connections and in both buying and selling products, and you do need a good cash flow. To flip products successfully, a lot of people don't like to flip low-end products. They rather flip high-end products. And that means that your initial pocket must be deeper, or else it's just not profitable. So these two are very short-term investment that people in the hobby often doesn't like. But nevertheless, they work at times, and they are method of investment. Now, the next group of investment are considered to be the short-term investment. First, the one that you guys love is the pumping and dumping. Now, I'm going to mention this one more time. I did pump certain Pokemon card, but I was calling out for people pumping and dumping is actually two different concepts. So there's nothing hypocritical about it. Pumping or hyping up certain cards is simply what I did because I like a card. I said this card was good. Pumping and dumping is an investment method that people use. And that is a short-term investment by creating an artificial demand for the product, causing the product price to spike in a short period, followed by selling the product at its peak and profiting. It's a whole process. It's not just hyping. Okay, hyping is just hyping it. It doesn't count as pumping and dumping. So okay, get that clear. So it's risky and it's not very viable when the product's initial quantity is large, and it's difficult to determine the actual demand of the products, and a large cash flow is needed as well. So that's why this is not a method of investment that I usually would recommend, and that's why I made a video saying that it's not a good financial aspect in that sense. So there was nothing hypocritical. Seriously. I don't understand what other people don't understand. Moving on. The next short-term investment method is riding the wave. Sometimes knowing a product is going to go up in price due to shift in demand, such as a playable card in Japan in a winning deck, you can actually know that, for example, back then, I think it was called Flintstone or Firestone. It was a popular deck back with Dragon Majesty. I knew that the Japanese decks were using this card a lot in tournament, and it's a winning deck. So what did I do? I bought a lot of them on Show and Tell, and I resold it later on, because I knew that when the format was going to go into English, the card price will go up, and in a short period of time, it did go up, and so that was very successful. But the downside is that the demand may not always translate to the English side. I did the same for Green's Exploration, and it didn't work. No one in English decided to use Green Exploration, even though it was very, very popular in Japan. So riding the wave has its risk, and it doesn't always work. And you could say riding the wave could also be things such as, knowing a certain box is on the rise, you just pick it up before everyone else does. So that is also possible. For example, when people were making YouTube videos saying that, we are seeing the price of Evolving Skies moving when it was around $400, you could have picked up all those booster boxes available and sell it for $600. But most people would not do that because they don't have $400 simply lying around, right? So that's the issue. Now, the next short-term investment method is called first to sell. And basically, another short-term investment is to access the product early or grade the product early and to be the first to sell. When people want the product quick, they do not mind paying a premium price. We've seen this time and time and time with things like the Black Label Charizard, with the Black Label Umbreon VMAX, and so on. Now, there can be issues. If you do sell some product early, there might be some legal issue that might occur. And if you decide to grade the card quickly, it doesn't guarantee that you'll get a PSA 10 or something like that. So there are apparent risks to this form of investment as well. But nevertheless, like I said, these are just methods of investment that I'm sharing with you guys. Now, finally, coming to the last part, this is the long-term investment. There is really two types. The first one is called the stronghold. This is long-term investment. You buy a product for a very long period of time at the beginning of release or when the product is close to MSRP. But the problem with this, security can be an issue. Storing a large amount of products for a very long time, security and space of storing it is definitely an issue. What if flooding occurs? What if a fire occurs? What if someone breaks in? These are all things that you have to consider when planning a stronghold. And sometimes the cost of warehousing, the cost of security, simply just doesn't translate to profit after many years. So it really depends on the products. Even though we could say it's low risk for Pokemon as cards always rise, but you still really have to be very, very cautious, and you have to be very, very well versed in the Pokemon card market to know what product to pick. It's not like anyone and everyone can do this. And you also have to be very, very patient. You can't offload or liquidate the product easily. If you have a large quantity and you hold it for a long time, you have to, let it leak out slowly. Because if you push it all out at once, if you need money to do that, if you need money and want to push it all out at once, it's going to crash the market and no one really benefits. So that's the issue with Stronghold. Now, what if you stronghold other things like graded cards or raw cards as a long-term investment? This one, you will need to definitely continuously monitor the market. Timing when to sell is more difficult as price tends to fluctuate a lot. You have to constantly monitor the price, or you have to constantly watch video like top 10 Pokemon, or something like that will tell you about the different changes or the weekly changes in the Pokemon card market. Security and card protection can be an issue. So for me, I would put it in a safety deposit box in a bank. That is what I do for a lot of my graded cards, because that's where it's safe. And the cost of grading raw cards. If you don't grade a card and the card price go up, the grading fees also go up. So that is something that you also have to consider. And with the grade and raw cards, you have to also be very careful. You really don't want bulk cards. You really don't want low value cards, because ROI, return in investment or return of investment, is useless on a 10-cent card, even if it's 100x, because it's still $10. You're still gonna lose a lot of money, and from shipping and everything else. So yeah, you really need to consider the raw or the graded cards, or the raw card you're gonna buy, and the cards that you're really gonna send in to grade, whether it is a good stronghold. So yeah, that is my view, and that is how different methods of investments, or how people invest in Pokemon cards or any collectibles in general with TCGs. And like I said, the investor is an important part. It plays an important part in the Pokemon community. So I do hope that people out there start accepting the fact that investors are not bad people. Investors are part of the community. They want Pokemon to grow. They are also on the same side as everyone else, because that's where their money are. It's not like they're harming the market. Successful investors do not want to harm the Pokemon community. And yeah, that's what I have to say. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to talk about the other branch of the Pokemon community in future video. Peace, this is Collect Pokemon. Bye bye.